Hi, I'm Noela. I'll be attending UCLA next fall, and I'm an economics and political science major.
I'm James Jiao, and I'm going to be attending UC Berkeley studying electrical engineering and computer science.
Hi, I'm Leslie. I'm going to be attending USC's Irvine Young Academy, and I'm going to be majoring in arts, technology, and business.
I'm Manoj, Soundararajan. I'm a senior here at our school. After high school, I decided not to go to college and actually do the Teal Fellowship in the winter, which is a program that gives me $100,000 to drop out of high school and either start a new business or work on my existing one. I'm also before that doing a program called Venture University, which gives me a similar amount of money, 100K, to actually learn to become a venture capitalist. So I'll be using that money to invest in startups, in stocks, and other things I feel are good investments.
First off, I applied to most of the UC schools because we do have that benefit of the in-state tuition. And on top of that, the UC application is really nice because the UC schools don't have individualized applications. Rather, you only fill out one application and you send that application to as many of the UC schools as you want. Other than the UC schools, most of the schools I applied to tended to be private schools on the East Coast that are reaches because my thought process was that if I were not to stay in state, I should, or like the school I'll be attending should be well worth my money and provide the resources that I need.
And then how did you choose your major?
So I applied as a political science or economics major to all the schools that I applied to because those majors specifically aligned with all the activities that I did throughout high school.
So obviously I applied to all the UC schools, being from California, and they were just all in one application, so it was really easy. Other than that, I was looking for schools that had a strong engineering background, so schools like Georgia Tech or UIUC, and obviously got applied to a couple of Ivies on the East Coast, and so yeah.
And how did you choose your major?
So it was pretty easy for me because I knew what I was doing. I've been doing robotics for a long time, and so I knew that's kind of the area I wanted to go into. So all the schools I applied either for CS or electrical engineering.
I feel like for me, I definitely was applying more for programs rather than specific colleges. And I think that was like something that was really beneficial because I didn't exactly know what I wanted to go do going in. And it's kind of crazy because like since you're really small, you'd be told like, oh, what do you want to be, and then you wouldn't really know. And I didn't know even up to the summer of, and so it's just more of like going through the programs that each school offered and seeing what kind of interests you and what you could apply for. Yeah.
Yeah, so I chose this path because I was most interested in actually applying some of the stuff that I was interested in learning about, like how to build companies, how to make money while investing. So these two interests really led me to make more practical decisions as opposed to, learning from coursework or learning things in school. And the next 2 years taking a sort of gap year would really allow me to further pursue these interests as opposed to, going to college, having my parents either take out a loan, spend money on college tuition, and me just not being, like 100% interested in school.
I'll preface this by saying you can absolutely write about anything that you want, but of course there are certain lines that you should not cross. That being said, I talked about how in Asian culture there's that expectation that females should be meek and submissive, but how my mom actually wanted to raise me a little differently. And so through activities such as Model United Nations, I was really able to find that voice, and once I found this voice, I used it in my everyday community to enact change.
What are some of your best advice for the essay writing process?
Start early. I know everybody says that, but there's a reason everybody says it. I started my common application essay over the summer, but it was not until I think like late October that I ended up finishing it, and even then I was not satisfied with my draft. For my supplemental essays, I really procrastinated. Some I even wrote on the day of, and I do not recommend that at all. And advice I've heard from upperclassmen is that you should carve out at least 1 hour in each day, no matter how busy you are, specifically designated just for the essay writing process. Even if that means just staring at a blank screen for that full hour, that's still progress. So yeah, really try to find that time in each day.
So I wrote mine about leadership. So going into high school and just my first experiences, a lot of times I thought like leadership might have been overrated, like just working with a team. For example, for robotics, if you're designing a particular part of the robot, you could either do it yourself or kind of spend some time teaching others. And so originally I always, did it myself, but then after I joined mock trial, I saw how that team environment was about like everyone working together and just having fun. And then I realized that it was like a lot more important to, not only is it more fun, but it actually helps the team a lot more if you work together. So as I went further in robotics, that's kind of the direction I went into.
What are some of your best advice for the essay writing process?
So for writing essays, in my opinion, I think it's important to have an open mind. So obviously you're going to write your first draft and it's probably not going to be the one you use. So it's very important to keep an open mind when you're showing it to friends or family or counselors for critique. You really want to find one that's different and really showcases you, because everyone's writing an essay and you don't want to sound cliche. So I guess just taking advice and being open.
I actually wrote my Common App essay. My backbone of my essay was about Powder Puff, and I kind of just through that I like wove in and like intertwined kind of more aspects of my life, whether it's like passions or like heritage and background. And then writing tips. I feel like it's actually really important to show and tell. So like do things like passive or describe it passively and actively. So you describe how you want to convey yourself through like what you say and also how you say it. So for example, like if you want to convey yourself as a bright or versus like a very like thoughtful, inquisitive person, like you should write that about like that should be what you're writing about, but also how you write it too. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, so for both of these programs, they're both insanely selective. They both boast acceptances less than 1%. So I had to go through an initial application round just like any other college. Then I had to have multiple interviews, and then after that I had to have like final interviews for both of the programs to get selected for it.
Did you have any essays for this, and maybe what did you write your essays about?
Yeah, so for both of these programs, just like any college application, they require essays to learn more about you, more about your interests, and what you want to do with the program. So just like that, I really described what I want to gain out of the program, how I want to utilize the program to its fullest potential, and how I think it can help me. And also most important, why I'm a unique applicant compared to everybody else.
So what I tried to do for the college application process is kind of categorize my extracurricular activities. For me, those categories those 3 categories were Spanish, political science, and writing. So for politics, I was in clubs such as Model United Nations, Junior State of America. I did a legal services agency internship over the summer, and I also did another politics summer program. For Spanish, I'm part of Spanish Honor Society, Spanish Club, and I also went to Nicaragua for a few summers for a mission trip, and that really helped me expand my Spanish speaking abilities and get an understanding for the Hispanic culture. And as for writing, I'm part of the journalism staff here, and I also had a few writing awards that I could put on my application. So I guess I found this to be a useful strategy, because if you categorize your extracurricular activities, you can show colleges where your true interests lie.
So the 2 activities that I emphasized were robotics and mock trial. So robotics, technically I've been doing that since fourth grade, and since high school I joined for 4 years, and this year was the co-president, and so that was a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in robotics. The second one is mock trial. It was kind of different because a lot of people didn't expect that I was going to do that, and I didn't expect it either, but it was a really great experience because it helped improve my public speaking skills. and writing skills.
What I found really funny was actually that like a lot of the activities that I spent a lot of time on throughout like my childhood or like going into high school, I actually didn't emphasize a lot in like my college application. It was more of the things that I did in high school, which I guess makes sense because those are the things that you have like interest in right now and wanted to pursue in the future. But one of the things that I highlighted a lot was I attended a Parsons pre-college program, and that was like a really big step out of my comfort zone, and so that was something that played a big part in my application.
Yeah, so these applications are really unique in terms when compared to college applications because they really don't zone in on what you did in high school, but what you actually practically did. Like, what kind of projects did you work on? Have you started a company before? If so, what was your experience through that? So I really went in on those types of experiences. In terms of what I did at high school, I played basketball. I also was a part of our DECA chapter. And yeah, that was pretty much what I did.
First semester, I still worked pretty hard, but second semester, like pretty much now, I'm trying to have as much fun as I can. I always thought throughout high school that having fun and like working hard academically are mutually exclusive things, but that's not the case at all. Really learn to have fun while working hard, obviously. Even if that means just hanging out a little more each day, that's fine. Learn to spend more time with your friends and family.
So my senior year, since I was the co-president, I had a lot of things to do. It was a lot of work, and so the entire time I was just like worrying about trying to make sure that our team was doing well this year, and thankfully, things worked out really well. So pretty much the entire senior year, I spent a lot of time into robotics, and now since a lot of that's over, I'm able to relax a bit more and have more fun.
As it says, create a bucket list, and not just for you and your friends, also with your family and yourself. And so it really helps you to know what you want to get done before you go into college. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think second semester I made a bigger emphasis on really trying to get involved with events like IDC Fantastics, spending more time with my friends outside of school, just really like relaxing and taking advantage of the extra time I had that wasn't being spent on either homework or studying for tests.
Yeah, so for freshmen and sophomores, don't spread yourself thin. I think a mistake I made throughout high school is trying to join too many clubs and do more extracurricular activities, but I think it's better to just like hone in on the activities you have at the moment. And for juniors, I know this is a little cliche, but everything happens for a reason. My dream school was actually on the East Coast, and when I got rejected back in November, December, I didn't really understand why, but now that I'm attending LA, I see that I'm more suited for the nice California weather, and in general, I see LA as a better fit for me. And another piece of advice I have for juniors is that hiring a private college counselor is not necessary. There are so many resources here on campus. We have the College and Career Center. You have your guidance counselors as well as your everyday teachers. So really make the most out of what you have here, and yeah, save your parents' money.
Okay, advice I would say finding a balance between having fun and I guess working on doing productive things. In high school, it should be a fun experience, and so I think you need to find a good balance between the two. I've been, I guess, on both sides, like working too much or just going out too much, and so if you find a balance, I think you'll be happy with yourself and you'll have a great time.
When you're writing or when you're doing your applications, I know it's like really annoying because there's not a centralized place where all your application takes place, but you have to like set a reminder to send in your SAT scores because it's the worst to put all the time into your essays and not have it out. Have it turned in because you didn't send your SAT scores. That happened the first time, but then afterwards you just create a spreadsheet and it helped a lot. Another thing was because I'm the oldest child, so I didn't have anybody I can look directly towards, so I kind of went in kind of blind. And so like upperclassmen really helped me, and they gave in like more insight than the forms that you could see and advice that are specific towards like our demographic and our area, which was really helpful. And like in general, I kind of wish I had like this kind of video because like I really didn't know what I was doing going in, and these are like things I would tell like my brother, and I hope this helps like whoever watches it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think The most important thing, at least with Limburg, is that everybody tries to really do the textbook definition of things, like, join as many clubs, do a ton of sports and stuff like that. But what I'd really recommend is for you to be unique, do what you really like, and don't be afraid of being different, regardless of what people might say or question about you.